Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. I am joined by my best friend, RPG Heels.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, and we are still in the Souls month on the channel. And today we're talking about our favorites in the series and our hopes for Elden Ring. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's talk about what our favorite Souls games are from least favorite to most favorite. And you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. It's still fresh because I just played it.
Right.
And it probably is on the easier side. But for some reason, I absolutely love Demon's Souls.
Oh, man.
Everything about it.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't a single zone I didn't like.
Right.
All the bosses were great, I thought. They were fun.
Oh, gosh.
Gimmicky or not, they were still fun.
Right.
I thought the difficulty was still there.
Yeah. And
But-
I think with these games, it's like, well, why are you playing them? Are you in it for the lore? Is it just the PvP? Is it just the difficulty? Are you just looking for a difficult game? Are you just looking for medieval fantasy, a scary game? You know, there's a whole gambit of reasons why we like these
Right.
games, you know? And then,
And Demon's Souls, it's story. Especially if you really like story, because it's more upfront with the story than some of the other games are.
right.
Like I don't need to go online and look up lore
Right.
about something to understand why they exist.
Right.
Where like the story of the king who went mad is kind of told throughout the whole game.
Right.
To where it builds up to that fight.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, his son is there, and that's
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And then
Oh my gosh! Yeah, and again, spoiler warning for any of the Soulsborne games. We
Right.
just kind of want to talk unfiltered, so hopefully you can enjoy and appreciate that as well. So
but yeah, it just great all the way around.
Yeah.
I thought the build I had was a lot of fun.
yeah,
I did sword and shield. Then I had a little bit of magic.
yeah,
By accident, because I put points in intellect, not knowing I was doing it. But I ended up using it for enchant weapon.
yes.
I didn't do cursed, 'cause I didn't want to dump the extra points into it. But
Right.
my next build, I think that'd be really fun to do.
Oh my gosh! Let me tell you, a cursed weapon enchant with the adjudicator shield, you don't lose any health, and it hits like 150% harder. It's
that's
like,
that's
or
so great.
50% harder than what it was. Oh, it's so good.
All the areas in 3, the 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. I loved every one of those.
Oh my
all the
gosh,
tower stuff.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite one in the game was
Okay.
all that area.
Great.
I love the dark, like the gargoyles and
Oh gosh.
even the spot at the
Latria.
bottom, which I thought was going to annoy
Oh,
me, didn't
my
annoy
gosh.
me.
Yeah, upper and lower Latria are maybe some of my favorite areas in games.
Yeah, they're just so good.
It's incredible.
I like the gothic feel to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of Lovecraftian too, because they had like
Oh.
that big heart in the middle.
Yeah.
They kind of felt very body
Yeah,
artish
you know,
and like
yeah, it definitely had body horror. I didn't realize this. I looked all those things that are sewn together, it's the old monk.
Oh, is that what it is?
He's supposed to be like a playoff of the King in Yellow.
Okay.
And he sews people
Gotcha.
together, and
That's even creepier.
Oh, but you know, a friend on Twitter said, you know, that the Tower of Latria will live rent free in his mind for the rest of his life.
That's a good way to put it.
And,
Yeah, I'll always remember it.
Yeah, it was
It's my favorite zone in that game.
one of my favorite zones to experience for the first time blind. You know, it was just
And normally prisons can be boring. Sort of like a sewer
Yeah.
level is boring,
Yeah.
or underwater is boring because every game has one. But like,
Right.
it just I don't know. I think because the mind flayers helped a lot because they like
Yeah.
that's Lovecraftian, that's
Right.
cool. And
Right.
hearing the people crying for help.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
And I don't want to call them hollow, whatever they were. The guys that some of them were attached.
They had lost their minds.
Some of them
they
were
would
just following
run
you
up
around.
to you and they would start crying like they're trying to get help. And I'm like,
Yeah, I was like,
Like-
I feel bad, but
You
you're
need-
worth like 10 souls.
yeah,
so,
like I'm like, well, that's the problem. You didn't know which ones were good, which ones were bad, and no matter what, they got in your way.
yeah.
So you know they could huddle around you and
Well, at some
friggin' mind
point, I had
flayer
walked
you.
into a room and there was I forget how many were in there, but I didn't kill them. I was still
Yeah,
weighing that option, and I left. And I turned around, and they're like all following me, like all over the
it's
place.
terrifying.
I'm like, I can't. No.
Yeah.
Like I already scare myself enough.
yeah,
Like,
and
I-
they mumble.
I
they're-
stepped on a crate towards the end, and
Yeah.
it made like the brake noise.
Yeah.
I jumped 10 feet in the air
Oh
because
my
they scared
God,
the
dude.
bejesus out of me
Yeah.
because I didn't know I
Yeah.
was so close to the end. I was
Well,
like,
there's
oh,
such
no.
a level of dread that all of that zone builds up to where when you're heading to the Fool's Idol, and you have like this almost like the gates of Mordor, friggin'
Right.
with the towers and the you have the NPC summons where you get the ability to invade others. It's just, it builds up all of this and then leads to the Tower of Latria, which the Tower of Latria contains one of my favorite visual and favorite bosses in gaming, which is the Man-Eaters. You know?
Oh, Man-Eaters.
That was such a fun fight.
I remember fighting it the first time, and I'm like, well, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I read something about you need to keep them separated if you can.
Yeah.
Or don't try to, and I didn't know there was two, so I was like, oh, it must be talking about the snake tail and the head. I'm like, well, you have to attack them; they're both together.
Right,
You can't
right.
separate them.
Right.
And then the other one spawned.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all the gargoyles in one.
Right.
And you first do it the first time, you're like, oh, this isn't too bad.
This isn't too bad.
Oh,
Then his friend shows up.
Now they're both shooting fire.
Yeah.
This is great.
Right.
That's what I needed.
Yeah. So
But
Demon
yeah,
Souls is.
one.
Demon Souls
for
has
sure.
clinched that first spot
Yeah.
for. Oh man.
I mean, ask me again in 3 months, but I don't think it'll change.
It's totally understandable.
It's borderline
Yeah.
perfect to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few things that I was like, okay.
Yeah, because it's a little jarring. Like when you go to World 2 and you have your sword and it's friggin' tickling all the enemies. You're like,
Right.
what's happening here? But then you're like, oh, this game is playing by like more D&D rules.
And thank the community who has to leave notes because
I rarely got trolled by them too.
they'll be like weak to thrust. I'm like,
yes.
like oh
Yeah.
all
Well,
right,
there's a section
great.
in World 2 that I got saved. I read one and it said left, and there's this fat official and then this bridge. It was like, and so I started like going across it, and the bridge falls apart, and like the note was warning
right.
me, stay
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
left side of the bridge. I'm like, wow. So I love the community around Demon Souls right now. It's a very cool community. Who knows? It could be a toxic troll fest as more people get PS5s, but right now it was very cool.
It has some of the best zones. They're all beautiful. Even like Swamp of Sorrow and whatever depravity.
Valley of the
Deprived.
yeah,
Deprived.
something like that.
I think I even texted you. It's a beautiful mess. Like it's gross, but it's
Well,
done in
what's
such
cool
a
is like the
graphically
lighting
beautiful
effects, like the open. You can see hope and
Oh, yeah,
light,
yeah.
but you're down in this cavern of muck and filth. It's gorgeous in a way, like, and
Absolutely.
it's terrifying at the same time.
It's a good length.
Yeah,
It gets to the point where if you're doing it in a certain order, it ends up just being boss.
yeah,
For like 3 in a row, I think.
really.
Because you end up in the room and the thing's
Right.
boss is right there.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Except Dragon God. Dragon God literally kicked my butt. I probably died to Dragon God 20 times, maybe.
Gotcha.
It took me a bit to figure out. It actually didn't even take me that long to figure out how to break the pillars because of notes and stuff. But I just friggin' could not figure out why he would attack me sometimes and why he wouldn't.
Oh, gotcha.
And even once I did figure out you needed to hide, I was having a really hard time with just the timing.
And that
and
last run has to be one long run.
Oh, my
There's
gosh.
no break in that one.
Yeah.
The other guy, like one of the bosses, I think it was the last boss in the swampy area. So 5-3. The lady who's holding the thing.
Made in Australia.
Yeah, because you kill.
Terrifying.
Because you kill the dude wandering around,
Yeah.
and then she just gives you the thing.
Really?
Yeah.
What I did is
Did you
I
hit her?
literally. Oh yeah, I killed her.
Yeah, she just hands you the thing.
I
So maybe
feel bad now because essentially, I was like, I looked. The boss name says Made in Australia. There's this dude who will not come after me.
Right.
I was like, I got my bow out and I just started shooting her. Like I was just like, screw it. Boom! I killed her and he got depressed and died. And then I left the area and came back and got his armor and everything. But apparently I found out now there is an achievement if you kill her without hitting him.
Okay.
And then, but I had tried to get him. I shot him with the arrow. He would not leave her
So
side.
I went one way, and I saw him walking. Because it's not like a big circle area
Yeah.
with a hole in the middle, and so I went the right way, and he wandered up the left path.
Okay.
But he stopped about halfway though.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, well I fell, which was enjoyable with all those little baby things.
Oh
in the
my
water.
gosh, those are awful.
Yeah, they got in the way was the problem.
They are awful. Yeah, and
They're like the dogs and the Capra Demon. They're in the way.
yes.
Um, So I went the other. I think I died that time. So the next time I went, like, okay, well, he went that way, so I'll go that way.
Yeah.
And I kill him, but it didn't end. I'm like, okay, it must really be
Right.
her then.
Right.
So I walked down there. It has an option to talk. I was like, well,
Whoa.
screw it, I'll talk. Worst case
Yeah.
scenario, I get one shot at it or something.
Right.
And she's like, fine, take it. And she gives you the soul, and then she just dies. You're just
No
yeah.
way. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. That's awesome.
So I was like, that was kind of,
Yeah.
as a boss fight, that was just kind of,
So where would you rank Dark Souls 1 and 3?
As far as my favorite,
Yeah.
1 over 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved 1.
Right.
And it may be because it was the first one I played,
Right.
but
Well, for me, I would say I'll start with least favorite. My least favorite, and again, we're talking about my favorite RPG, action RPG series,
yes.
period.
So what's your least favorite of the games you love?
Of the upper echelon, this is my least favorite of the top tier.
Right.
Because I would still put Dark Souls 2 above almost any other action RPG. Because as much as it's brutal and I meme on it pretty hard, it's still a good game. It's a great game. But I feel like it just felt a little too antagonistic at times. After that, and this is the controversial one, but I gave it a lot of thought, and I want to say that I play these games because I enjoy the replayability. I enjoy the fashion souls for sure. I enjoy the multiple builds, and I enjoy multiple playthroughs. And I enjoy the lore. Unfortunately for me, Sekiro is just above Dark Souls 2. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think if you're looking for just a single playthrough with just a set build, then you're good.
Yeah, if you want a difficult game where you're a samurai, that's a
yeah.
good one to go to.
Yes, I think Sekiro is a great game. It plays, but by the end, the pairing mechanic was getting old. I did do a complete New Game Plus run of it. Did not find it to be enjoyable a second time through at all. Now, you do have a prosthetic, and people may say, well, you do have the option of fighting differently with the prosthetics. At the end of the day, you're not killing anything unless you're parrying. So, for me, the flavor that was added with the prosthetic was cool, it was neat, just not as good as the build diversity of the rest of the series. After that, I would say Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls 3 is great. I think the world is awesome. It has one of my favorite builds in the entire series with pyromancy and strength and quality builds. Has great bosses. It's fun. I've beaten Dark Souls 3 maybe 3 times now. But at the end of the day, like I said with the weapon arts in previous episodes and the speed of it, it just felt like it was almost too far away from the starting point of Demon Souls and Dark Souls to where but again, it is a great game and such like that.
And you do get used to it.
Yes.
It is jarring at first.
Yeah. It is an incredible game, and it's one of my favorites of all time. After Dark Souls 3, I would say my next favorite is, and this is where it gets tough for me, because I'm trying to, the dust has settled, but I'm pretty confident in right now. We'll see. But I'm going to put Demon Souls. I think Demon Souls has the potential of becoming maybe number 2, number 1. I'm not sure yet. I want to think on it a little bit more. But right now, Demon Souls is my 3rd favorite in the series. And that's because it has my favorite combat pacing. It's slow, it's methodical, it has a ton of build diversity. The fashion souls is very nice. The lore is presented in a very consumable manner. It has a wonderful world. And honestly, that remake, it's definitely right now. I don't know. The only thing else that could come out this year to give it a run for its money is SMT5 for me. In terms of Game of the Year.
Or if they sneak out Breath of the Wild 2,
Yeah.
which isn't going to happen.
Right. I don't think it is either. But Demon Souls, it plays wonderfully. I love Demon Souls. When I initially played it, I was like, could this be my favorite? Because it just clicked. Ever since I played I'll finish real quick. My next favorite, and this is also very tough, is Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne, I think, has one of the best lore worlds of any game ever made.
Especially if you love Lovecraft.
If you're a horror fan and you love cosmic horror, Bloodborne is the best visual media out there. I think it is the best visual representation of Lovecraftian horror ever made. I love The Thing by John Carpenter. I love all these things, but if it's not a book, I think Bloodborne is the best visual media for Lovecraftian horror.
And you have the Victorian setting,
Yeah.
which is just...
Yeah. So why isn't it
Top notch.
higher? I'll be honest, because I like replayability, and Bloodborne's oppressive to play. I think Bloodborne is scary. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, scary game ever made, because you're always in danger. You're never safe, you know? And the areas are oppressive, scary. It has potentially, you know, it has probably the second hardest boss in all of the series for me, which is the Orphan of Kos, which is the final boss of the DLC. It's a wonderful experience. It's beautiful. It's challenging. And it was my first. So obviously that leaves Dark Souls 1 as my favorite. And this is kind of the conundrum I have between it and Demon Souls. Those two encapsulate my favorite combat style. It's slow, methodical. You're running around. You hear the clank of the armor. You hear the rolls and dodges. It's you, and if you're me, your sword and shield, and you're pressing through this beautifully interconnected world. The lore is incredible. The bosses are iconic. I mean, you see a picture of Smough Ornstein, and you instantly know what game it is. You know?
Apparently that's the Tower Knight is that way for Demon Souls. A lot of people know his...
Oh,
They see a picture of Tower... I think it's Tower Knight.
Yeah.
The big giant thing.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, he's
Yeah.
visually impressive.
So that is, for me, why Demon Souls has instantly... Like, it wasn't even hard to put it there. It's hard for me to gauge where it's at in the top 3 because Demon Souls and Dark Souls, to me, are the perfect Souls combat. I'm not saying they're the most complex. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, for me as a gamer, it is that perfect methodical approach to where, you know, you're looking at enemies. You know, maybe I want to use a bow here. Maybe I want to use this. Maybe I want to backstab cheese here. You know, I think if you are just starting out and you're nervous about the difficulty, start with Dark Souls or Demon Souls. Because I don't care what
agree.
people say. And some people make a very good argument that Dark Souls is the hardest. Obviously, they're all hard.
Right, yeah, they all have their own challenges.
But I think they're great at introducing you to the mechanical makeup of the world. And that methodical combat, because once you learn how to deal with the mind flayers,
Right,
you know,
you're good.
you can get it. You know, they'll still scare you for sure. But like, I think that, you know, you can shield your way through a lot of the games. You can definitely turtle build. The dodging is very responsive. And honestly, those games have been around so much, and there is such a informative community to where I think the Souls community definitely gets a bad name because of journalists who just say, well, they're just super hard, or you get the get good people, which, you know,
Right.
they're there. There's gatekeepers to every game, you know. But I think that the Demon Souls and Dark Souls is the perfect entry point. And then from there, you know, you have this wealth. Like, do you like dodging? Do you like the pace of combat? Do you like the lore? There are so many amazing routes you can take, but I think you cannot go wrong with those two. And for me, beating those games was a double-edged sword. They were some of the most satisfying and gratifying experiences I've ever had in games, but I genuinely felt depressed when the credits rolled for both of them.
And it's strange because you'll pull up like a boss list, right, to see
Mhm.
like a boss order. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, that's a lot of bosses.
That's a lot of bosses.
And then you'll look after a couple days of playing, like, okay, I'm about halfway through. I'm never going to get through this.
Yeah,
And then you're like, oh, I only have 2 left.
yeah.
I don't want the game to end.
Yeah.
now. Like,
Well-
can you throw in some more?
Yeah, and for me, I've mentioned in the past that I was essentially, for lack of a better word, I exclusively played MMORPGs for about 15 years. I did play some major releases throughout that, but for the most part, that's what I played. Because I like strategizing. I like putting my brain to work, thinking about builds, thinking about loadouts, all this stuff. Strategies for this and that. So Dark Souls, to me, I owe so much to, because it was really that game that broke my urge to want to keep playing MMORPGs. And ever since then, this is kind of where the channel came from, is I'm on a search for hallowed games that I've missed during this time. And the first time you play a Souls game and it clicks with you, it may not be the first time you try it, but when they click with you,
oh, absolutely,
there's really nothing like it.
Yeah, I agree, because you'll get hooked.
Yeah, I mean that's really
you'll die and die and die and be like, no, I'm gonna get through it. Like,
yeah,
I've come this far, and I'm going, to get through this boss. I remember fighting the spider lady in Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 at the bottom of Light Town.
Quelaag.
Yeah. And you guys had watched, and I went to bed. Or I rage quit, went to bed, and then I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, no, she's not going to defeat me. I crawled back out of bed.
Did you text me after? I think because I woke up in the morning.
Sorry, it's super late.
Yeah,
but I couldn't. I had to. So I beat her. I was like 4 o'clock.
I mean, it gets
to
under your skin. It's like no, and it's always. I want to say it's tough but fair. I'm not saying you're not going to experience what feels like a little bit of bull crappery throughout Blighttown.
There's things I complain about
Lost
constantly,
Islet, Bed of Chaos.
Yikes. Enemy weapons can go through walls, yours can't.
Right.
So get used to that real quick.
Right.
So there's things you're going to gripe about.
Right.
It doesn't take away from the game.
Yeah.
I guess there's still instant classics in my opinion.
For sure.
Like,
and I'm still I'm replaying Demon Souls. I'm absolutely in love with it. But these are games that are evergreen to me. I'm fully planning on replaying Dark Souls 2 even on my because I beat it on Steam and I want to have my build and stuff like that on the PlayStation.
Oh, nice. And you get your trophies too. So.
Yeah, and that's just it. It doesn't matter what these games are. To me, they are the most fun you can have with an action RPG.
And what's great is how many Souls type games are actually made by the same company.
Oh.
It's not a first-person shooter, then everyone makes a first-person shooter.
Right.
There's a lot of Souls type games that are made by From Software.
Right.
Or even Dark Souls 2, which was I still count it. It's
well, it was From Software, but it was definitely the
team.
B team. No offense, but
there are Souls games out there not
they
made
redeemed
by them,
themselves with Sekiro. The same team made Sekiro.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've kind of done a cursory, I mean, we could go for hours about everything. So much love for this series. But I kind of want to end on a positive note and where we're headed for the future. Because at the time of this recording, there's still no release date for Elden Ring. We did get a potential leak, but we won't even get into that.
Yeah, we just have one trailer that really gives us zero information.
Right. Dude just breaking apart. But what do you hope to see in Elden Ring heading forward?
I'm hoping to see a really good story.
Okay.
I think with George R.R. Martin, that'll probably help.
Right.
Although if he's helping, it may never come out, so we'll see.
Right. Hopefully it's more like a battle of the and not so much a season 8. But
right.
We won't open that can of worms. So.
But high fantasy kind of looks like what it's going to go for.
Right.
Even more so than Dark Souls and that goes with.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably use some type of other, I won't say currency, but instead of souls, it'll be something else.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what they go with, like what out of the left field do they come up with?
Yeah. Well, I've seen some concept art, and it looks like it's definitely going to have some eerie elements to it. Like there's a dude who looks like he's wearing almost a skin outfit. So I know that it'll definitely be kind of spooky. What I'm hoping for out of Elden Ring is just that distinct FromSoft world feel. Because even in games like maybe Sekiro, where it didn't have this huge open world feel, interconnected, I do hope that now that we're heading into what sounds like I've heard is an open world RPG, I hope we still have the feeling of an open, interconnected world, but still with that tailor-made feel of enemy placement and such like that, because in Bloodborne, there is the Chalice dungeon system, which was a randomly generated, and it was cool in concept in that it was this endless amounts of content you could continue to push through, but it just lacked the charm and just the finesse that was the nice, superb single-player experience. So
it almost needs to be open world until you get to a city, and then it needs to not be an open world.
Right. So I'm hoping with that, in terms of story, I do hope, like we talked about a little bit off camera, is that it does have that Demon Souls kind of general direction. And Sekiro is a very, cut and dry story. You know exactly where it's headed. I do hope we have that. But since it's kind of large in scope, I hope the world is full of mystery.
That'd be really neat.
And I hope that there's a lot of, just different, maybe get some of that Lovecraftian horror, not necessarily the aliens and stuff like that, but just kind of the eerie, unnatural feel that even George R.R. Martin is a fan of in the books. There's, a lot of allusions and love shown to the Lovecraft. So I know they're both Lovecraftian fans,
right. I mean,
obviously.
The giant or whatever he was called in Game of Thrones, they resurrect him. And
right.
That's very Lovecraftian.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm definitely hoping some of that. From a combat perspective, we have Sekiro, which is all gas, no brakes. We have Bloodborne, which is very high aggression. Dark Souls 3, which we discussed, was fun. I personally would like to have a little bit of a step back because I love Dark Souls and Demon Souls combat, that methodical gameplay, but with a lot of depth build. I want build diversity. I want a lot of fashion souls. I need that fashion souls. I want, a lot of enjoyment for me is after I beat a game, I typically don't play online or such like that. I do like to watch the PvP troll videos. So it would be cool that if there is the option for PvP, that it be an option. Because, a lot of us like to experience the game from a single... Right. But I do want the ability to team up with you or team up with Danik and be able to go and explore this world and do all this fun stuff together. Maybe deal with invaders if we wish. I would like that. That was something that I felt like, I kind of felt in Sekiro I was missing. Part of what makes a Souls game what it is to me. Because, I know it's going to be a challenging game. I think that can be a given at this point with the Souls series. But, I do like just kind of the whole package with Souls, kind of looking back. So, and luckily, I think Blue Point has really raised the standard of what the graphical presentation would be. I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was originally made for Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah.
But they never had a release date, so I can't say it got delayed. But
right.
It seemed like it's taking longer than it should have to come out by now.
Yeah,
I know COVID's probody a big contributor to that, but that gives them more time to polish up patches for PS5 and Xbox Series. That'd be great.
For sure. Because, I think games like Cyberpunk are pretty fresh in everybody's minds, where, the PC version and the next-gen versions run great. Right. But, previous gen people feel like they kind of got lied to.
And they did. I mean, they flat out got lied to.
Yeah. So it's tough, but, I think FromSoft, hopefully I'm sure they're using this time. Because, if it's an Atlas game, a FromSoft game, I trust it, and I'm excited for where the series is going. I'm happy we're returning back to high fantasy.
Me too.
Because we do have Sekiro, we do have Bloodborne, which are great and wonderful in their own right, but I will always kind of gravitate towards high fantasy.
Right. I know there's a rumor, so take it with a giant grain of salt, that Microsoft talking with them about a sci-fi Dark Souls. And it's cool as it sounds. You give me that versus a high fantasy one, I'm going to pick high fantasy.
Exactly.
I just love the whole first area of Demon Souls is great because it's just a giant castle. It's great.
It's wonderful, and I'm very, very hyped for Elden Ring. I would say it is my most hyped game at this point. Now that I've played Demon Souls, I'm not gonna lie, I was chomping at the bit to get my hands on Demon Souls, and it was everything I hoped it would be. And Elden Ring, I'm extremely excited. And you know what? With FromSoft, I do allow my expectations and mine to just run wild because they deliver.
Yeah, they deliver. Their track record is very flawless.
Right.
Really.
We have talked about a lot of topics on the Soul series. We've shared our opinions, but we would love to hear about yours. What do you want to see in the upcoming Elden Ring release? Can't wait to read about it down in the comments. Let us know. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out RPG Heal's stream. I'll have his link down in the description. I'll see you in his chat if you ever hop in. Well, guys, until then, we'll see you all next time.